Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to AMC Mailbag, the all-mailbag show here on AMC Movie News, where all we do is take your mailbag questions. My name's John Campy. I'm the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News, and I am so glad you decided to join us on this Sunday for Mailbag. It's been a great week. Lots of big movie news has gone on this week. I've had a fun weekend. I'm going to get ready to go watch some football in a bit, and I hope your weekend has been as good as mine. Hey, I'm going to let you know that if you have an email question or a topic that you'd like us to address either on AMC Mailbag or AMC Movie Talk, send in your question to @amcmovietalk@gmail.com. You can send your questions to us there, and who knows, maybe you'll see your question on AMC Mailbag. So, without any further ado, let's get right into the questions today, and we are going to start with question number 1. And the first question today comes to us from Daniel Karraa, who writes, "Hey AMC crew, love the show." Thank you so much, Daniel. "I remember late into the production of Edge of Tomorrow, possibly even after for reshoots, Jeremy Piven was cast in a crucial role as Colonel Walter Marx. I saw the movie, which I loved, and he wasn't in the finished product. I was wondering what you thought happened to his part and where his character fit into the story. Thanks, and keep up the great work." Well, thanks a lot for the question, Daniel. And Jeremy Piven, as you know, is the guy who plays Ari on Entourage, and he's going to be in the movie as well. Very funny actor, actually. I like him a lot, actually. I think he's pretty darn good in a lot of stuff. I wouldn't put him in my upper echelon of comedic actors or actors in general, but I like him. I like when I see him pop up and things. So anyway, Edge of Tomorrow, the Tom Cruise most brutally handled marketing-wise film I've ever seen, because it's a really good movie. And you hear me talk about that all the time. Terrible marketing, awesome movie. Make sure you give Edge of Tomorrow a shot. It's very fun, it's funny, it's energetic, it's all that kind of stuff. So anyway, now, after they had finished production, they went back, I believe they shot in London. Anyway, they went back and started doing a bunch of reshoots, and which included Jeremy Piven. Now, Jeremy Piven wasn't part of the original production, but they brought in him and his character for all these reshoots. Now, Warner Brothers has said right from the beginning that it's not like they just decided to add Jeremy Piven. They said it was always the plan to do all the principal photography, then they needed a break for a month or however long it was, and then they were going to go back and do all these massive reshoots. They said it was always a part of the plan. Now, whether you believe them or not is up to you. I believe them. So they've always said right from the beginning that was part of the plan. So they went back and did all those reshoots, and that's when they brought in Jeremy Piven to play this Colonel Marx character. So anyway, Daniel, it's interesting because in your email, you said the crucial role of Colonel Walter Marx. Well, how crucial could he have been if he doesn't end up in the film? But anyway, so then those of you who did go to see Edge of Tomorrow, you know that Jeremy Piven is nowhere to be found in the film. He's not there. He's not in the film. So the question is, what happened to him? Like, why did they shoot this stuff and then have him not there? Hey, it happens. Now, as most of you remember, this isn't the first time this has happened in Hollywood. This is pretty standard. Just look at the movie World War Z with Brad Pitt, right? Now, a lot of you remember that Matthew Fox from Lost fame had a significant role in the film. And then when you watch the film, you don't see him. If you're looking closely and you pay attention, you do see him in one scene. But maybe you see him in two. I can't remember. Basically, he's not there. Basically, right? And so you think, well, why did they cut him out? Did something bad happen? No, I think what happened with Jeremy Piven is the same thing that happened to Matthew Fox, which is the same thing that's happened to a lot of actors, is that, you shoot your movie, but then the movie is really done. The story is really told in the edit room. And you get into the edit room and if the filmmakers and the editor and the director just sat down and looked and thought, you know what? This flows better if we just don't include this character. Or if we took out these scenes, this movie just flows better. It tells the story better. It feels less cluttered. It has a better flow to it. All that kind of stuff for whatever reason. Remember, the movie is not there to serve the actors. The actors are there to serve the movie. And if their presence isn't serving the movie, if in the edit room, no matter what you thought in the script and what you thought on set, it's not till you get into that editing room and you really start telling this story and get a feel for it and seeing how it flows, and that's how it works. And if you get in the edit room and you realize, hey, this isn't fitting the way we thought it was going to fit. This isn't as funny as we thought it was when we were on set. this doesn't click in the story the way it did when I just read it in the script. It's all in the edit room. So with the Jeremy Piven thing, as with the Matthew Fox thing and everything else, what it came down to was they were editing the film and they realized this works better if we just don't have this character in there. And they decided to pull the character. Pretty much as simple as that. Thanks for the question, Daniel. All right, we'll move on to the second question. And the second question today comes to us from Viktor Georgsson, who writes, I heard a rumor a few weeks ago that Marvel had already chosen an actor to play Dr. Strange and then hidden him in plain sight. I don't remember whether you've talked about this before, but what do you think the probability is that Andy Serkis is indeed Dr. Strange? Well, thanks a lot for the question, Victor. This goes to this whole thing. We love, whether it's the new James Bond or especially if it's a new character in the DC cinematic universe or the Marvel cinematic universe or whatever, we love speculating. Of course we do. We're film fans. We love speculating about who's going to play this, who's going to play that. Now, you said you heard a rumor that they actually chose who's playing Doctor Strange a long time ago. I believe that. I've always believed, and I do believe, that by the time we hear that a certain actor has been chosen to play a certain role, it's actually months behind. I usually believe they normally have that in place and set in stone long before we ever hear about it. And so I do believe they have their Doctor Strange. I do believe they've got him selected, and I do believe he was probably selected weeks ago. So that's my belief. So there's somebody out there right now. There's an actor out there right now who's watching AMC Mailbag, who's going, he doesn't know it's me. I don't know it's you, but we know you've been picked. So that person is out there. Now, as far as the in planes sight board, is Andy Serkis? Victor's asking the question, is Andy Serkis Doctor Strange? I don't believe it's Andy Serkis for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's going to be directing his own film here pretty soon, that Jungle Book adaptation. He's directing that. And so directing a film is a lot different than being in a film. There's a lot more work and time and energy and effort, like 10 times as much that goes into directing a film as it goes into being in a film. He's got his first directorial film coming up. I believe his hands are going to be pretty tied for a while. So I think he's going to be pretty busy. The second reason, well, there's no really a second reason. That's it. I think Andy Serkis is a very gifted actor. Look, even beyond playing Gollum and playing Caesar in Planet of the Apes, he's been on screen before in King Kong, in 13 Going on 30. He's actually a very serviceable actor. I wouldn't, say he's Oscar worthy or anything like that, but he's serviceable. I think he's pretty solid. So, but I don't think that precludes him from being Doctor Strange. I just think the directing thing is precluding him. I think it's probably Joaquin Phoenix. That's who I think it is. I think that's who a lot of people think is. All signs point to that. But let's keep this in mind, too. When it came to Batman and who's going to play Batman, all these sites running all over the place saying, we've got good information that says the short list is these 4 actors. We've heard it's most definitely going to be this guy. How many sites ran with, it's confirmed, I don't know, this guy is going to play, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is coming back and he's going to play this, and all that kind of stuff. And then who did it end up being? Somebody that nobody, except me, predicted it would be. It was Ben Affleck. And nobody had Ben Affleck on their short list, and all the reports are saying this. It ended up being somebody we did not see coming. The same thing happened with Guardians of the Galaxy. Remember, they were saying the Star-Lord thing, right? Like, I remember all the sites running their lists. Here are the top 5 possibilities who it's going to be. My sources say that these 3 names are the short list, blah, blah, and none of them was Chris Pratt. And all of a sudden, boom, it's Chris Pratt. So while I think it's going to be Phoenix, I also think there's a very strong, because remember, they've been talking about Phoenix, they've been talking about Tom Hardy, they've been a lot of sites have claimed that on the short list is Benedict Cumberbatch. So you've got a lot of names out there, but while I think it's going to be Phoenix, there's, I think, a very 50-50 strong possibility that Marvel's going to announce Doctor Strange in the next 2 weeks, who it is. And it's going to be somebody none of us have even considered. I think it's going to be like the Ben Affleck casting as Batman. I think it's going to be like the Chris Pratt casting. So, there's a very strong possibility of that. The whole thing about he's hiding in plain sight, I don't know what that means. Maybe it is Chris Pratt. Maybe it's Ben Affleck and they're hiding him. He's Dr. Strange and that's hiding him in plain sight. Maybe it's Kevin Feige. Maybe Kevin Feige himself is going to play Doctor Strange. And that's what they mean by we're hiding him in plain sight. I mean, I don't really know what they mean by that, and I don't even know if that rumor's true. But to the first part of your question, I do believe he's cast. And while I believe if I had to put money on it, it would be Phoenix, I also think there's a very strong possibility it could be somebody we haven't even considered yet. All right, let's move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Matt Long, who writes, "Hello, AMC Movie Talk. Been watching your show every day, and it's become a big addiction." Well, thanks so much, Matt. I appreciate that. Anyways, my question is, what are your favorite movie plot twists? Mine is The Prestige. Thanks, and bring on the filthy. Well, Matt, you're going to have a hard time getting an argument from me that the twist in The Prestige isn't a really solid and great twist. I mean, that ending. Now, I didn't love it myself, but it is such a wild twist, and I won't give it away. I'm going to give away some of my list, by the way, because all of these are very old movies, and if you haven't seen them by now, you're not going to, so I'm going to give some spoilers away. I won't give away the one on The Prestige, though, because it's a Chris Nolan film. There's a new Chris Nolan film coming out right now. You may want to pick up The Prestige and check it out. It's a very good movie. I'm not a big fan of the ending, but it's a very, very imaginative twist that you probably don't see coming at the end. Anyway, I'm going to give you my 5 favorite twists, all right? And I'm going to start from number 5 and go up to number 1. At number 5, and you're not going to believe this, but remember, we're talking about quality of twist here. We're not talking about the quality of the movie. We're talking about the quality of the twist. And I'll argue anybody who tries to say this wasn't a quality twist, because it was. And that is the big twist near the end in the fight scene of Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2, the final Twilight film. And, you know, at the end, there's this big battle. You have the forces of the Volturi against the forces of the Cullen family and their allies. Then you got the big battle and blah, blah, and you know how it ends. And then the twist. And look, whatever you think about the Twilight movie, blah, 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 all the brain-dead morons out there are going to go, oh, you put something Twilight on your list. You don't have any credibility. Just do the world a favor and shut up. This is a quality twist, regardless of what you think about the movie. It's cool if you hate the movie. But if you're going to be objective and try to call it as you see it, I'm telling you, that twist was really well done. I think one of the top 5 ever in Hollywood cinema. I really do, because it caught everybody off guard. Nobody saw it coming, and yet it fit completely into the narrative of the story they were trying to tell. So, hey, bad movie, horrible movie, one of the worst movies ever made, whatever. If you're just talking about quality of a twist, that twist at the end of Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 is a really high quality twist. Caught everybody off guard, including me. All right, so that's my number 5. My number 4 is, of course, the twist in Fight Club. I mean, I've talked to a couple of people who claim they saw it coming, and I can see how you could maybe see that twist coming. So I'm sure there are some people out there who saw that one. But I didn't see it coming. Caught me off guard. And I think that was a great twist. Completely fit in the story, yet changed the way we saw the narrative of the whole movie in an instant. Awesomely done. Great twist. Because sometimes people just put in twists for the sake of a twist, and they don't actually fit into the story, or they cause inconsistencies and with the rest of the movie we've seen up to this point. The one in Fight Club, perfect. Great twist that most of us did not see coming, fit into the story as it was, and did not cause any inconsistencies with the movie narrative up to that point. So for that reason, for me, the twist at the end of Fight Club is my number 4. At number 3 is one that a lot of people have at number 1 for good reason, and that's the twist at the end of Sixth Sense. It's really what made the twist a popular thing again, you know? And so when you find out at the end about Bruce Willis, and I won't blatantly say the spoiler here, but when you find out the truth about Bruce Willis at the end, I think it was like a lot of us was like, woo, and like the Fight Club thing, right? Perfectly. It's when a lot of people didn't see coming. It fit perfectly into the story, and it caused no inconsistencies when you truly look back at the rest of the film, no inconsistencies whatsoever. So Sixth Sense, probably the most popular, most famous of the big plot twists, but it for me is number 3. At number 2, The Usual Suspects. When Kaiser Soze is revealed and who it is. And once again, great twist a lot of people didn't see coming. Fit perfectly within the story narrative. Caused no inconsistencies with the rest of the narrative. That plot twist when I'm forgetting the name of Kevin Spacey, who's on our list twice, by the way. Of course, for no, he's only on the list once. Sorry, I almost put 7 on my list, but I decided it didn't really qualify. So Kevin Spacey would have been on my list twice, but he's not. He's only on it once, and he's on it once for Usual Suspects. So Verbal Kint. That's his name. That's his name in his character in it. So when it turns out that Verbal is actually Kaiser Soze, great twist, awesome, and Usual Suspects is one of my top 10 all-time favorite movies in general. But to me, the number one, absolute best plot twist that maybe made everybody go WTF: Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader, I am your father, to Luke Skywalker. Best one of all time. Best one of all time. Drop the mic. It's done. Don't even have to explain it. It's perfect. I mean, so those to me, so again, in order, going from number 5, The Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 with the big fight scene at the end. Number 4, Fight Club. Number 3, Sixth Sense. Number 2, The Usual Suspects. And my number 1 plot twist always is Empire Strikes Back with Darth Vader dropping the bomb on Luke. So that's where we're at. All right. And by the way, guys, jump into the comment section. I really want to hear what your top 5 favorite plot twists of all time. I'm sure some of you are going to put 7 in there. I'm sure some of you are going to put the Prestige in there, like our email asked and said. So jump in the comment section. Let me know what you think are the best plot twists you've ever seen. Give me your top 5 and put them in order for me. All right, let's move on to the next question. And the next question today comes to us from Jeff. And Jeff writes, hey, since it's being reported that Kevin Feige is assistant producing for Fox, will we see some crossovers? Okay, what Jeff is talking about is, of course, this past week, Fox announced that they have a Deadpool movie is coming. I believe February 12th, 2016 is the release date. So, yay, Deadpool's coming. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited about that. Now, what's got a lot of people in a real tizzy right now is that in the report that came out in Variety, it reported that, Laura Donner is producing and Kevin Feige is producing. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, the godfather and architect of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, is producing the Deadpool film for Fox? What? And it's got a lot of people asking, like Jeff wrote it. I've gotten a lot of people on Twitter, Facebook, email, everything, writing and saying, wait a minute. Does this mean now they're setting up crossovers with the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And everybody's getting really excited, right? I hate to be the killjoy. I'm the killjoy a lot, I find. But anyway, I hate to be the killjoy, but don't read anything into this whatsoever. For example, let's look at the credits for The Amazing Spider-Man. And look at what name is there right here. See that? Kevin Feige, the producer on The Amazing Spider-Man. What we have here is an on-paper only situation. As you know, if you watch an X-Men movie, even though it belongs to Fox, if you watch a Spider-Man movie, even though it belongs to Sony, if you watch a Fantastic Four movie, even though it belongs to Fox, you'll see the Marvel thing at the opening of the film, much like they do at the beginning of the Marvel films. Because these characters are still Marvel property. They are under lease, if you will, in perpetuity to Fox. I mean, as long as they keep using them, to Fox and Sony and whatever. But Marvel has to be acknowledged in there. Part of this is Marvel says, yes, you can do this. Yes, you can do this. And so Kevin Feige gets his name in there as a producer. But make no mistake, Kevin Feige is not in his office sketching out, trying to decide who the director's going to be and giving approval to the story of Deadpool. That's Kevin Feige's not working on Deadpool. He's not involved in Deadpool. It's a producer in title and on paper only, much like it was for The Amazing Spider-Man, much like it could be for all of them if they really wanted to. What it probably means is Kevin Feige had to give the okay on a certain element that maybe Fox wanted to include. So one phone call. Hey, can we do this, Kevin? Yeah, go ahead, do that. All right. producer Kevin Feige. You know, it's something as simple as that. It's nothing more. If we find out, let me clarify all this. I have not gone on the phone and talked to Disney, and I meant to call my Disney guy, but I didn't. I have not gotten on the phone and talked to Disney and say, hey, is Kevin Feige? So I haven't confirmed this with Disney, but I would be more than stunned shocked if it's anything more than they had a quick phone call. Feige gave the okay to one element, and they said, okay, well, now he's got to be on as producer because this can't happen without his okay. So producer Kevin Feige. And, you know, he's because of the Marvel connection, all that kind of stuff. But believe me, he's not doing any work on this film. He's not working for Fox. He's working on and he's got plenty on his plate working on 10 upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. So yeah, look nothing into that thing, Jeff. It doesn't mean there's crossovers coming. He's not actually assisting producing or co-producing anything. He is a producer in name only on this because of the affiliation of the character with Marvel. That's it. So anyway, yeah, and if you guys have heard other things, go ahead and leave it in the comments section. And I'd be very curious if you have heard other things. But if you've heard other things and you leave something in the comments section, give me a source. Give me an actual link. And let's see where that goes. But 99.9% Feige producer on Deadpool in name only. All right, let's move on to the next question. And the next question comes to us from Nathan Diggs, who writes, hello, AMC movie family. I have a quick question. With the Deadpool movie, speaking of Deadpool, being announced, can Fox make a PG-13 and a rated R movie and release them at the same time and let people decide which one they want to see? Well, thanks a lot for the question, Nathan. Well, I mean, technically speaking, it's Fox's movie. Fox can make as many versions of it that they want. I think this almost exact same question came up when we were talking about the last Die Hard movie that came out. I believe we had a mailbag question where somebody asked, hey, can the studio put out two versions of the film? Can they put a rated R version and then a toned down rated PG version? And the answer to that question is yes, they can. But they're going to run into a roadblock. First of all, making two different versions will cost more money. And maybe not a lot of money, especially if you're just like, hey, you make your full version with all the F-bombs and you show extra blood and blah, 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 blah. And then you just go into the editing room, cut out the F-bombs, take out the blood on a few scenes. So not a lot more, but it costs a little bit more money. But here's the real roadblock. The real roadblock is the movie theaters. So let's say Deadpool is coming out. AMC Theaters decides, okay, we're going to give you two screens. Let's say the AMC Burbank 16 says we're going to put Deadpool in two theaters. Okay, they're going to put them in two theaters. But they are only going to do two theaters. Just because Fox comes out and says, okay, we're going to make two versions of it. So put our rated R in two theaters and put our rated PG in two theaters. AMC is going to say, no, we've decided that Deadpool can take up two theaters. So do you want us to run the PG or do you want us to run the R, whatever? Well, Fox is probably going to go with the PG one because they know that's going to get them more box office. So instead of saying, well, okay, we'll put the PG in one and that'll sell out. And then we'll put out the R-rated one and that'll be 3/4 full. Well, now Fox has lost money because they know if they put both of those two theaters that AMC is willing to give them, the PG version, they know they would both sell out like that and they will make more money. But let's say, okay, another local theater says, okay, we got room for Deadpool on one of our screens. We're going to put it on one screen. Well, that theater isn't going to go, no, we're not kicking out another movie just so you can put out a second version of it in rated R. It doesn't make business sense. So what I think is more likely to happen is that Deadpool is going to come out and it's going to be a PG-13 film. And then when I think the Blu-ray comes out near the end of 2016, when the Blu-ray comes out, I believe you'll have an R director's cut version. That's what I believe they're going to do. But as far as putting it out in theaters, now you're asking theaters to dedicate either double the amount of screens, which theaters won't be willing to do because it will lose them money as well. But it also puts Fox in a position where they know more people are going to be able to, and a lot of kids are going to want to go see Deadpool. They can't go into the R-rated one, so they're going to want the PG-13 thing. So they could do it. They could. It's a cool sounding idea, but like a lot of cool sounding ideas, when you actually get down to the practicality of it, it doesn't really work. So no, we're not going to see Fox. Because remember, if Fox and the movie theaters thought putting out Deadpool in 2 separate versions are going to make us more money, then the studio and the movie theaters are going to be then put out an R version and a PG-13 version. This is all about money. They would do it in a heartbeat. But they've done a lot of studies and they've done crunched all the numbers, and they know that it's actually going to lose them money to do that, so they won't do it. So we're going to get a PG-13 Deadpool. And remember, I'm of the opinion that a PG-13 Deadpool can work just fine. If I'm in charge of Marvel or of Fox, I've said this before. If I'm in charge at Fox, I make Deadpool an R-rated movie. But they're not going to do that. They're going to do a PG-13, and I'm okay with that. You can make a totally cool, awesome, Deadpool movie and have it rated PG-13. And I said this on Movie Talk the other day, but I'll say it again here. I had a friend of mine start this argument with me saying, no, John, Deadpool that's PG-13 cannot work. It won't be good. It's not going to work. And I said to my friend, okay, but did you like the leaked footage? That quote-unquote leaked test footage of Deadpool that came out a while ago. Did you like that? And I know he liked it. So I said, did you like that? He goes, I loved it. It was awesome. I said, well, hate to break it to you, but that clip was PG-13. You said you loved it. You said you didn't like it. Nay, you said you loved it. That clip was PG-13. There's no blood. I mean, you can get away with a lot in a PG-13 movie. What you really can't do, the big no-no, is show a lot of sex and have a lot of blood. That's why Transformers can rip each other's heads off and tear off their arms. And Optimus Prime can take his sword and drive it up through the chin of an enemy and have the sword come out the top of the head. And it's PG-13. Why? Because there's no blood. There's no human blood. You're good. You're safe. And that clip that came out that everybody raves about, including me, there's no blood. That is a PG-13 clip. So, I mean, will it take a little something away from the movie having a PG-13 Deadpool instead of an R-rated? Yeah, it will take a little something away. I'd like to hear Deadpool drop an awful lot of F-bombs. As it turns out, he's probably going to be able to drop 2. Okay, it's going to take a little something away from the character of Deadpool, but really not that much. If you like that clip, then you're acknowledging that a PG-13 can work. Will it be as good if it was rated R? Nah, probably not. Like I said, I would make it rated R. If it was up to me, I would make a Deadpool movie rated R. But just because they're doing a PG-13, I don't think that automatically means it can't be an awesome movie. I think that little clip showed it can be an awesome movie, and now we'll just kind of sit around and wait to see what happens. All right, talking a lot about ratings today, because this next question, actually our final 2 questions are both also have to do with ratings. So let's go to it. Our next question today comes to us from Kyle West. And Kyle West writes, while I think that ratings are super important to have, I absolutely hate the fact that films get scenes cut just to appease the rating system. As a fan of the horror genre, I find this particularly irritating that scenes get cut up, pun intended, it's a good pun by the way, Kyle, because someone other than the film's director or editor decided that it would be within my best interest if I didn't see an extra 0.3 seconds of something horrible happening on screen. I think it is fine that movies get rated, but don't think that those people but I don't think that those people should have any say in what content gets cut from them. What do you all think? Well, thanks a lot for the question, Kyle. And this question of movies and the MPAA and the rating system, I mean, it's stuff we all talk about a lot. Let me say this up front and first. I believe there are a couple of principles here. Number 1, we need a rating system. I believe, number 2, that the current rating system is flawed, but I also believe it is the best system we have right now. But I believe it's a flawed system and it needs to be fixed. But we do need a system, and it is the best system we have right now. So that's my starting principle. We need a rating system, but acknowledging the system we got is flawed, needs to be fixed. So let's get that out of the way. Now, going back to your question is like, why should, as a fan of horror film, why should the MPAA, why should the ratings board have a say in what gets cut out of a movie? And the actual answer to that is they don't. They don't. The MPAA has no power to make a film cut anything out of them. It is all the film and the film's producer's choice. The MPAA can't make them do anything. What the MPAA can do, now in a perfect world, what the ratings board is supposed to be is an impartial panel of random people, not random, but of diverse people who watch films and then in their opinion say what a rating on it should be. And they have some rules and some guidelines. And like I said, it's a flawed system because I believe there are some inconsistencies and all that kind of stuff, but be that as it may. But at the end of the day, it is not the MPAA that says, well, okay, this movie comes out in February, we're going to cut this out of your movie. The MPAA can't do that. That's not within their authority. What they do is say, okay, we're giving this movie an R rating. Okay, now the producers can go, okay, well, we were kind of hoping for a PG-13. So what is it in our movie that made it R instead of PG-13? Like, what could we have done to our film that would have made you go, this is a PG-13 movie instead of this is a rating R movie? And the ratings board can come back to them and say, well, if you're asking us, we think that that oral sex scene in the movie and that one scene where the guy had his head gnawed off by a wolverine. I'm just making stuff up. But so the ratings board says, yes, that one oral sex scene and that one scene of a wolverine chewing through a guy's neck and decapitating him. We think that if those two scenes weren't there, or if they were done differently, that we would look at the film as a whole and say this was probably a PG-13. But that's what made us give it an R. Now it's up to the producers of the film to decide what they want. Do they want to keep in that oral sex scene and the scene of the dude getting his head gnawed off by a wolverine and take the rating R? Or is the PG-13 important enough to them that they're willing to go, you know what? We think we can live. I think we can still suggest there's a sex scene going on, but show it in a different way so it's more innocent. And we think we can just have a lot of sound effects. I think you can see the Wolverine jumping at the guy's neck, and then the camera kind of turns away and you hear what's happening. And then later a character can say, man had his head chewed off. We think we can do that, and it's okay for our movie, and it's worth it to get the PG-13. But ultimately here, the real point here is that it's not the ratings board that makes those decisions. Ultimately, it's up to the producers of the film that make those decisions about what they want to do. And how they want their movie to be. And I know there have been many times in Hollywood that a studio and producers have gone to the MPAA and said, okay, you guys are giving us an R. What could give us a PG-13? And the rating system says, well, this, and this. And then the producers went, okay, fair enough, but we want those things in there. We're going to keep those in there and we'll take the R. There are lots of stories in Hollywood of that happening. Lots of stories in Hollywood about, the studios making changes to the film. But remember, it's their choice. It's their choice to make it. No, there is no rating system that has the authority to go to a studio and producers and say, you must take this out. Nope. It's ultimately the producer's choice. So I hope that answers that. And then we go on to the last question of the day, which also has to do with the rating system. So we got kind of like 3 questions in a row about ratings, but I think it's an interesting question. So the last question today comes to us from Windsor Wong, who writes, I've been a fan of the show for almost 20 months now and never missed one episode. That's a lot of shows, Windsor. Thanks a lot for watching, dude. My question is, why does AMC enforce the MPA rating system? In fact, why would any theater choose to do that? If I remember correctly, there is no legal ground for it to be enforced. So why does the theater get to tell us what to watch? It really frustrates me a lot because sometimes I don't notice the rating of a film until I'm asked for my ID. Also, the rating is not always true to the film. Some films get away with lots of swearing and violence, while some get extra harsh ratings. Thanks a lot for the question, Windsor. And, the first thing I want to say to your thing about when you're saying, It's not always consistent. It's not always true to the film. Some films get away with a lot more and some films don't. Like I said in the last question, the system is flawed. There needs to be more consistency brought. They need to fix this. They need to, renovate the house, if you will. I agree. I agree with that. There has to be some changes made. But once again, it's the best system we got right now. So to the heart of your question, why does AMC enforce things? They don't legally have to enforce them. On that, you're right. The MPAA has no power to tell a theater you have to enforce this, you have to enforce that. They don't. But like the last question, person asking the last question says, we do need a rating system. And I don't think AMC now understand this. Let me throw this out there as a disclaimer. I actually do not work for AMC. Oddly enough, I don't. I am not on staff with AMC theaters. I've been with them for 6 years. I don't know what their problem is, but as of right now, I am not on staff of AMC theaters. I am an independent content creator, and they contract me to create all the content for AMC. So while I am kind of identified with AMC and all that kind of stuff, I am not on staff at AMC. So understand that before I give my own answer. I also want to give the disclaimer that I do not speak for AMC in this matter, okay? I'm not an expert on these things. I'm simply going to give you my perspective on what it is, okay? So with all those disclaimers out there, let me answer your question. We do need a rating system. We all acknowledge that. And I don't think AMC or anybody wants to be in the business of, we're going to make the rules. I think everybody's much more comfortable with there being a standard set of rules. Because what happens if AMC sets its own rules? Well, then mom and pop movie theater chain, they set their own rules. And then Nation One movie theater chain set their own rules. And then movie chain C sets their own rules. And now what you have is a whole bunch of different movie theaters with completely different rating systems and guidelines that are completely inconsistent from each other because they're all making up their own thing. So you never know going from one movie theater to another if this is rated this or if that's rated that. Who knows? What does it all mean? It creates a lot of confusion and inconsistency. So I think the movie theater industry as a whole has said, and the movie industry in general has said, okay, we're going to agree on one set of guidelines. It's the MPAA. All right. And we're going to all agree, so there's consistency somewhat. There's consistency amongst all movie theaters in North America that this is our rating system, or at least in the US. This is our rating system. We all go by that one. The one central consistent one. So what is rated R in an AMC theater is rated R in movie theater chain B theater is the same as in movie theater C chain. They're all the same no matter which theater you go to. If it's PG-13 here, it's going to be PG-13 there. And I think that's a good thing. Once again, best system we got, even though it's flawed. Okay? Needs to be fixed, but it's the best one we got. So, and now on to the part of your question that says, well, so even though it's not legally enforceable, like AMC is under no legal obligation to follow the rating rules of the MPAA, it's just what makes sense for all the theaters to have one standard rating system, and they've all agreed it comes from here. Okay, so there's that. Now on to the thing about who is the theater to say what I can and can't see. Well, if you're an adult, the movie theater doesn't tell you what you can and can't see. If you're an adult, the MPAA can't tell you what you can and can't see. You can see anything you want. You can go whatever you want. Now, here's the thing though. If you're not an adult, let me give you a great example. I don't have any kids myself yet, but I have friends with kids. And I got one friend in particular. He's got a 12-year-old daughter. So let's say, I'm not going to tell you who this friend of mine is, but I can tell you for certainty. If that friend of mine with a 12-year-old daughter found out that another house in the neighborhood was letting their kid and their friends who are 11, 12, 13 years old was letting all his kid and all their 11, 12, and 13-year-old friends into their house to watch dirty movies. And I mean dirty movies as in R-rated movies. Basic Instinct. Let's go with Basic Instinct. Let's go with Basic Instinct 2 with the big orgy scene and all that kind of crap, right? Now, if my buddy and I know him pretty well. If my buddy found out that another parent in the neighborhood was letting his 12-year-old daughter go into their house with other little kids, including their own kid, and letting them pop on Basic Instinct 2 and watch it in their house, my buddy is going to go visit that house, and he's probably going to bring a baseball bat with him. Just saying. He's going to go pay a visit to that house and probably bring a baseball bat with him, and the conversation will not be civil. And that is essentially, now you can raise up the argument and say, oh, John, different situation. It's not that different of a situation. Whether it's some dude's other neighbor's house or some movie theater is going to let his 12-year-old child with his or her little 12-year-old, 11-year-old, 13-year-old friends say, yeah, come on in. As long as you got the money to give us. Come on in, little girl. Come on in, little boy. Come on in and watch this blood fest or these orgies or whatever in our house, in our theater. Come on in, as long as you give us the money. That happens, Father A is going to go pay a visit to Theater B with baseball bat C. And none of us would blame him. So now that's just one example. I know there are other examples, and we get into areas of gray. It's not all black and white. It's areas of gray. But, with these areas of gray, we're going to have different points of view and different opinions. But at some point, the industry as a whole, and the movie theater industry and the movie industry as a whole, have to sit back and say, okay, we know there's a lot of gray here. Why should a 14-year-old be able to see this or not be able to see this, but a 15-year-old should? Blah, a lot of gray. And there's inconsistencies, and it needs to be fixed. But at some point, the theater system has to say, we have to set our standard. For good or bad, for right or wrong, with all of its weaknesses, we have to set a standard. And this is our standard. Now, does that standard need to be examined? Does it need to be tinkered with? Does it need to be fixed? Does it need to be more consistent? Yes. Flawed. But we need one. And so the movie theater industry has said, okay, MPA, these are the guidelines that we are going to adhere to ourselves. And that's why. So, like I said, I think there are exceptions. I think it's flawed, all that kind of stuff. I know it's not the popular thing to say, because I know the popular thing to say is, rah, rah, the man sucks, down with ratings, everybody should do whatever they want to do. I know that's the popular thing to say, but you guys don't watch me because I say the popular thing. You don't watch me because I'm just going to say what you already want to hear. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong, but I'm never going to say something because it's the popular thing, and I'm never going to say something because it's the thing you want to hear. I'm going to say what I actually think. And sometimes I'll be right, sometimes I'll be wrong. But on this, what I think is that the system we got is the best system there is right now. Needs to be fixed, but that's why it's there. Anyway, on that downer of a note, yay, we're looking forward to Deadpool. That's going to be PG-13. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, guys. I really appreciate you joining me. Listen, don't forget, once again, if you've got a topic or a question you want us to bring up on the show next time, email us at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. And don't forget, there's a lot of great films playing in AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, your showtime, and of course, your movie ticket information. Also, don't forget, guys, if you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video and you'll find a link to our podcast feed so you can listen to us on your way to work or at the gym or whatever you'd like to do. So that'll do it for me, guys. My name's John Campea. You can find me on all the various social media networks just at John Campea. So for AMC Movie News, I'm John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.